really pro-life if. Hey, Pro-Life Jen, it's Kristan Hawkins. Welcome to a How to Win the Debate episode of my Explicitly Pro-Life podcast. Tell me if you've ever heard people, pro-choice people, usually angry pro-choice people, say these things to you. You're not really pro-life if you believe, insert another issue. You're not really pro-life if you're not doing X, Y, Z. You're not really pro-life, you're just pro-birth. Yeah, I've heard those too. This is often classified as a hard question for many pro-lifers because we tend to get, immediately defensive when our, being a good person is put up for debate. But the reality is this type of attack is a personal attack, and it's very unsophisticated form of debate. Instead of engaging in the actual discussion or topic at hand, the person just makes jabs at the character making the argument as if that suddenly justifies them not having to engage in the debate. Sadly, though, I would say a pretty powerful form of attack because often it gets people distracted away from the main point. These attacks look like this. How many children have you adopted? Are you willing personally to pay for the hospital bills of every woman and every woman's child care? Again, doesn't attack the actual issue, get to the root of the issue, it attacks the person. The question at hand is whether or not science supports that the preborn in the womb is a human being and whether or not that human being is viable. That's the entire debate when we have an argument with someone about the morality or legality of abortion. And while you can bring up a lot of powerful and I think productive adoption agencies, other supportive agencies in the movement, when you're having these conversations, you should know that that's not necessarily going to help your argument along. I actually think it's better to bring up a counter example. Use an example like spousal abuse. Can I say that spousal abuse is wrong without taking in the woman next door who is being abused by her husband? Can you say that? Absolutely you can. Yes, we all should be able to say spousal abuse is wrong, even if we're not physically able or maybe not willing to take a woman who's being abused by her husband into our own home. Now, it'd be great if we could, but it doesn't mean our argument is any less valid. It doesn't affect the validity of that statement that spousal abuse is wrong. Beating your spouse is wrong. In order to defend yourself from these type of attacks, you need to learn the rules of debates so you can point these out, that these are irrelevant to the issue at hand, and force those that you're having a conversation with to actually engage in the argument that is at hand. The confident pro-lifer knows that their stance is not dictated or diluted by other social justice issues, whether or not, for example, they're an adopted parent or any other number of jabs that they throw at you. Because it happens all the time. Every single Students for Life team member, student leader on campus at one point has been asked or has been told, if you're pro-life, then why haven't you stopped human trafficking? Why aren't you feeding the hungry? Why aren't you banning guns? No other social justice issue, no other person who engages in a social justice ill is ever asked this question. Think about it. Those who are fighting to rid the world of cancer. The American Cancer Society is never accused of not caring about others who are battling other diseases like Alzheimer's. Black Lives Matter is not asked why they aren't fixing the crisis at the border. The soup kitchen down the street is not asked why they aren't addressing the lack of education in girls in developing countries. Why is that? Because everybody knows we need the soup kitchen down the street and they need to do what they're best at, not setting up schools in Afghanistan since the Taliban has shut so many of them down. Abortion has the single largest death toll of any condition, disease, genocide, or act in history. It is big enough of a crisis to deserve its own damn movement. So encourage the person you're speaking with who is poised to ask this question to actually discuss the topic of abortion with you, because it deserves that much.